So I can't tell you how many times I'll go to a doctor's office and the doctors don't even know the difference between autoinflammatory and autoimmune. Or I'll tell a lot of my friends that I have autoinflammatory and then they'll end up telling their friends that I have autoimmune. And so I just realized, even just Googling or whatever, that a lot of people don't know the difference. And so in this video, I'm going to actually talk about the main differences. They do have a lot of similarities, which is why they do, get confused. But both are driven by the immune system, but just different parts. So in a nutshell, autoimmune is tissue specific damage, and autoinflammatory is literally called inflammatory because there's just recurrent inflammations. And fever is a big way that providers can get a big clue on, hey, maybe it's autoinflammatory, because fevers is a big driver. And I've been in a really big flare. It is now June 18th and around the holidays. So I think it started really around Thanksgiving or Christmas that I've had low-grade daily fevers since then every single day. And, I'm working on trying to break it, but it's pretty much anywhere in between 99.0 and like 99.7. So I am making separate videos on that. But anyway, so the immune system does have two teams. It's called the innate versus the adaptive. The innate is literally called innate because you're born with it, right? So it's like a smoke detector. It senses danger and immediately sounds the alarm. So that's what the innate immune system is for. The adaptive is literally, it's called adaptive because it does learn over time, your body does, and it remembers previous threats. So think of it like a detective who investigates and remembers specific criminals. So the autoimmune diseases are from the adaptive immune system, and autoinflammatory disease is from the innate immune system. So autoimmune disease is where the adaptive system mistakenly identifies part of your body as a threat, right? That's the enemy. And so what it does is it starts producing antibodies against your own tissue. And examples of this would be lupus. So lupus is where the body attacks multiple tissues and organs. So like skin, joints, kidneys, heart, lungs, and brain. Then you have Hashimoto's disease that attacks the thyroid. It's also called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Then you have type 1 diabetes that attacks the insulin-producing beta cells in the pancreas. You have MS or multiple sclerosis, and that attacks the myelin. So in other words, that's the protective coating that surrounds the nerve fibers in the brain and the spinal cord. These are not the only autoimmune. There's so many more, like even Crohn's disease, but you can Google those. But these are pretty main ones that a lot of people do have. Autoinflammatory disease, right? We talked about that's the innate immune system, and pretty much it just becomes overactive. And so because it's overactive, it triggers inflammation even when there isn't an infection. So I describe to people it's pretty much like my body thinks it has the flu all the time. It's just stuck in the on position. And it's just constantly, like as a protective measure, sending inflammation to the body even when there is no infection. And so that's where we have episodes of fever, rashes could come up. I don't have that. Joint pain and fatigue. Oh my gosh, horrible. So again, that all pops in when the as an infection is not even present, right? So examples of this are cryopyrin associated periodic syndrome, also known as CAPS. Cryopyrin is like a protein. I'll make a separate video about that. That's what I have. I have two. I have CAPS, and then I also have what's called Yao Syndrome. Those two are gene mutations. And so I know that CAPS is the NLRP3 gene mutation and Yao syndrome is the NOD2 gene mutation. So I do have both of those. I'm not really sure of the other ones, but familial Mediterranean fever and then the TNF receptor associated periodic syndrome. So these are a few autoinflammatory diseases. So in a nutshell, autoimmune disease is where the immune system attacks the wrong target, right? Like your tissues or whatever it is. Autoinflammatory disease is the immune system alarm. The alarm system is going off when there isn't a real threat. So that's pretty much just the main difference. Both do cause inflammation, right? Both have similar symptoms, which is why people do use them interchangeably, but they are driven by different parts of the immune system. So I'm curious if anybody else watching this video has either autoimmune or autoinflammatory diseases. I'm just going to keep documenting my journey. I also have long COVID. I'm currently being tested for PATS. I have mast cell activation syndrome. I have chronic fatigue syndrome. So all of this started since COVID. And, you know, I got the 2 Pfizer vaccines, and I got COVID 3 times. And so, you know, whatever it was got triggered because I was super healthy before that. And I did make a diagnosis video if you're interested on my channel. Sorry, my alarm went off. I had to shut that off. But yeah, so comment if, you know, I'm just curious to see who else is going through what I'm going through. My point of this channel is to make people feel that they're not alone, because I know I certainly feel alone, especially with autoinflammatory, because even when I Google or go on YouTube, everybody's talking about autoimmune, 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 and I don't find anybody or much information on autoinflammatory, which is also a big driver of this channel. On top of also I'm making videos on my life with mast cell activation syndrome, or MCAS, which is, I'll make separate videos on that. So I hope this clarified things for you, and I'll see you next time.